welcome back to Recipe to Revenue. I'm your host, Leah Messina, and I am here today with Hannah Awada, the founder of Hummus Goodness. Hannah, I am so excited for you to tell your story today. It is such an interesting journey that you have taken to start this business. So why don't we start in the beginning? Tell us who you are and the origins of Hummus Goodness.
Fantastic. Hi, Leah. So my name is Hannah Awada, and I'm the founder of Hummus Goodness. I'm also a mom of three, and I did not go to school to be a hummus maker. I went to school to be a high school history teacher. But my husband's ambitious, and he has a very busy career, and his job has taken us all over the world. So I put my job as a teacher aside to follow his path, his career path, and we traveled the world. We lived in Ohio, we lived in London, in Germany, and finally in Shanghai, China. And it was actually in China where I started a company called Hummus House. Went to a party one day and somebody said, "Can you bring an appetizer?" And I'm Lebanese, so we always bring appetizers to
Hmm.
parties. And so I brought a tray of hummus and everybody loved it and was like, "You should sell this." So I did just that. I literally started selling hummus out of my kitchen window, called the company
Wow.
Hummus House because I make hummus in my house,
Yeah.
and started selling to expats like you and I who wanted fresh and healthy food that reminded them of life back home in the US. So my
Wow.
husband, who's a big business guy, was like, "So what's the plan here, honey?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to sell 50 containers a week, a little pocket cash. So my first week, I sold 65 cups. And my last
Mhm.
week, selling hummus, which was 9 months later, we were up to about 500 cups a week out of
Wow.
my kitchen window. And it was in China where I developed a whole slew of flavors for hummus because growing up in a traditional Lebanese household, we always were served hummus, but I always loved French onion dip and I like
Hmm.
salsa. So I started adding fun flavors to the hummus so that I would eat it and people absolutely loved it. So when I left China a year after starting my business, we had been there to this point for 5 years. I moved to Michigan, which is the Middle Eastern capital of America. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get some great hummus at a gas station around here. So when I went to a party, I took hummus with me again, just to be nice, because again, my Lebanese mom always says you never walk into a party empty handed. It's rude.
Hmm.
So I took the hummus to the party and everybody loved it, Leah. And
Yeah.
at this time, people were like, "Sell it." And now I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. There's hummus at the store. Go and buy some." But my friends challenged me. They asked me, "Have you ever bought store bought hummus?" And honestly, I've never bought store bought hummus before. I
Mm.
think if I walked in with a tray of store bought hummus to my mom's house, I would get
Oh,
made fun
yeah.
of forever and I would never live it down. So I went to the store and I bought some hummus and
Yeah.
I opened them all up. I was really excited because I was going to prove everybody wrong. So I opened up all the hummus and I started trying it. And I'm like, this isn't like real hummus. Like this is not hummus.
Something else.
It's something else. So I then turned the containers around and I looked at the ingredients. And that's where I was really surprised. Because in my household, I mean, hummus is very simple. It's olive oil, it's
Hmm.
lemon juice, it's garlic, it's, chickpeas, tahini, the
Yeah.
basic stuff, the basic ingredients. But when I turned these containers around, what I saw was soybean oil,
Right.
sunflower oil, citric acid, sodium benzoate, garlic powder. I mean, it just doesn't belong in hummus. So my friends were right. And I decided, okay, if I'm going to start a hummus company in a very crowded set, I have to be
Yeah.
different than everybody else. So back in 2019, when I started Hummus Goodness, it was a very simple philosophy that's held true today. We're going to make hummus simply, the way my mom does, the way my sister does, the way my cousins and my aunts and my grandparents and everybody in between did. And we're going to make it with olive oil, lemon juice, and garlic. Very
Mm.
simple. And that's how Hummus Goodness was born.
Amazing. I love that. And it's so funny as you're talking about the hummus because in my mind, I'm thinking about my grandmother and her saying, come from an Italian family. So you have to make your own tomato sauce and this jarred tomato sauce thing that would have my great grandmother rolling over in her grave. I would hear that all the
Yeah.
time. So
And I'll be
can
honest,
relate on that.
it's the same within the Lebanese community. And hummus is something really special to us. Like, and everybody's mom has the best recipe. Everybody's family has the best recipe. And so our goal as Hummus Goodness is this. Leah, we want you to go to your best friend who's Lebanese house or your
Mhm.
favorite Lebanese restaurant and have the best hummus you've ever had in your life. We then want you to head over to the retailers that we're sold at, buy Hummus Goodness, try it and be like, wow, that is almost as good as what I had in the restaurant. That is our goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and what we strive for.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so definitely have some questions about those early days, and we'll kind of bring it forward to the current times. So, when you were getting this started in Shanghai, do they have the ingredients there that you needed to make hummus?
They did. They did. I
Yeah.
was very resourceful. I already had a food processor, which was easy.
Hmm.
But yeah, they use chickpeas. So I could find chickpeas. At the time, I was only able to buy canned chickpeas. I couldn't find dried ones to soak them. But I found canned chickpeas. I did some research. There was a website in China called Taobao, which is very
Mhm.
similar to like our Amazon. And I
Okay.
found big buckets of tahini I was able to purchase. And then a lot of ingredients I had brought back from the US. Like I had some ranch dressing, like ranch hummus,
Mhm.
like ranch packets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I added ranch to the hummus and ranch hummus that week. And every week the flavors changed. So there was always the original and the spicy. And
Okay.
then every week the flavor changed based on something that I can get from a farmer's market or from
Mhm.
from down the street, something that I may have had in my cabinet where I'm like, oh, I have a lot of balsamic vinegar.
Yeah.
Let's make a balsamic vinegar flavored hummus. And that's where the inspiration came. One of our favorite flavors that still holds true today is a beet hummus. And the
Mhm.
beet hummus was inspired by a restaurant in Shanghai called the Commune Social. It was my favorite restaurant. And they had this
Mhm.
amazing, beautiful, fresh beet salad with goat cheese and honey and pistachios. So I turned all of that into a hummus, which we still have today. But yeah, I mean, when you're using fresh ingredients, whether you're in China or the US or Lebanon,
Mhm.
it's not that hard to get the ingredients that you need if you're sticking to authenticity.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Okay, so then how did this the scale from your kitchen window happen? Was it all word of mouth?
100% word of mouth. I
Yeah.
had a WeChat group. WeChat is very similar. Imagine if you put together like WhatsApp and Instagram and TikTok all together. There is an app
Uh-huh.
called WeChat in China, and we had groups. So let's say, for example, Leah, that you found
Uh-huh.
out that there's a girl in Shanghai making hummus. You
Mhm.
would reach out to me and you'd be like, "Hey, Leah, hey Hannah, my name is Leah, and I would like hummus." And I would say, "Great, Leah." I can get
Yeah.
you hummus.
Yeah.
What I need you to do is I need you to get your neighbors around you to also order the hummus. And then I will make the hummus on Thursday, send it all to your house. You'll put it in a cooler outside and people will just grab their hummus. In return, I will give you free hummus every week. And that
Yeah.
is how we grew the business. It was 100% word of mouth. I mean, I was using cardboard cups at the time and I would
Okay.
hand write Leah Messina, classic
Yeah.
hummus, one of three,
Yeah.
Heather almonds, spicy hummus, and that's how I did everything. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about distribution, about what
Yeah.
works and what doesn't work, picked up some Chinese in the
Mhm.
process. So I had Chinese delivery drivers delivering hummus all over the city for me. It was a
Ah,
lot of,
that's awesome.
it was a
Very
lot.
cool. Very cool. Okay, so then you get word that you are moving back to the US, and how did everybody take it? No more hummus.
They were devastated. But I didn't just shut it down. I actually
Okay.
passed the pieces on to somebody else and they took it,
Okay.
which was nice. The recipe stayed the same. There were some changes that happened and then COVID hit. So
Okay.
I left China in 2018. When COVID hit in 2020, from what I understood, the person kind of closed down and they
Mhm.
left China, obviously, with the rest of the expats. And so
Okay.
today there is no more hummus house in Shanghai. It's really sad. It was sad to let
Oh,
it go, but that was nothing
yeah.
to do. It was
Yeah.
COVID. All the
Circumstances at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. So then you ended up back at that point. Did you come back to Michigan right after China?
Yeah. So
Okay.
originally we're from Ohio. So
Mhm.
Michigan was new to us. We
Mhm.
moved to Birmingham, Michigan. They have a great Chinese program and my kids were speaking Chinese at the time. So we
Oh,
wanted to keep
nice.
them going with that. And so we moved to Michigan and I was like, okay, I'm going to go right back to my, stay at home mom life and, work out and be on the PTA and do all the fun
Yeah.
stuff. And really like maybe like Leah, to be honest, like maybe like in my heart of heart, I wish something would come out of like my life in China, but
Mm.
I didn't think it could happen. I really was
Yeah.
like, it's so hard in the US to start a hummus company, especially
Yeah.
there's this thing called a cottage food law. And if we were like a biscuit or a piece of bread or a cookie, I can make it
Mhm.
out of my house. It's easy. But when I did the research of what it would take to start a hummus company in the US, I was like, no, there's too much of a market. There's too much of a there's too much of a supply out there.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And the barrier is higher.
The barriers were really high here.
Yeah. But you decided that wasn't going to stop you.
No, I did not. It did not stop me. Initially, it did because I really truly thought that there wasn't a market for more hummus. And
Yeah.
it was just my friend saying, no, there is a market for real hummus. Like my business partner, Laura, is a prime example.
Mhm.
Laura is a mom as
Mhm.
well. She is like a businesswoman as well. And she cares about what she eats.
Yeah.
She is very intentional of her ingredients. She's been a label reader since before it was cool to be a label reader.
Mm.
And until this point, Laura had never bought store bought hummus either. Rarely, I shouldn't say never. She rarely bought store bought hummus.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't just something that she wanted to do and she wanted to eat. And then when she found out about Hummus Goodness, she was like, wait a minute, like this is hummus I'll actually eat.
Yeah.
And so it was those kinds of positivity and people saying, no, there really is a market for what you're doing that pushed me along. And then every barrier that came up, we just hopped over the barrier and found a solution. I think something that's really cool in the US that was easier than China was it's all in English here. So
Yeah.
it wasn't,
Sure.
like there are barriers, but the language
Yeah.
barrier,
It wasn't a language barrier. Yeah.
they always said if I can get over the language barrier in China and figure out how to tell a Chinese driver how to get hummus from point A to point B, I
Sure.
can figure out pretty much
Yeah.
anything.
You're pretty resourceful.
Yeah. So that's just how we did it. I connected with
Mhm.
Michigan State University very early on. They have a wonderful
Okay.
product center program. They connected me with a mentor who helped me
Hmm.
start laying down the foundations of starting Hummus Goodness the right way. Because again, I couldn't
Okay.
do it out of my house. It had to be out of a licensed facility. I found a
Hmm.
fantastic church just a mile down the street from me who had
Hmm.
availability. And started in August of 2019. We moved into the church, started making hummus there, and the rest is history.
So
Yeah.
how long was that timeline from when you came back to when you got into the church?
Yep. I moved back to the US in June of 2018. And it was in April of 2019 that I started going to some parties with hummus.
Okay.
Started, having a couple of friends who were ordering the hummus from me and just like really small, just friends. And it was in August that I made the once school was over because I have kids and they were
Yeah.
home. This idea started in April and I
Uh-huh.
know school lets out in June. So I'm going to have these
Right.
kids home from June all the way until August. So
Uh-huh.
between June and August, I laid down the foundations, figured out the recipes, bought the equipment that I was going to need, found the church. And then in August, once I think the
Yeah.
week after school started, I started making hummus out of the church
Wow.
kitchen.
Yeah, there's so much to do to get ready. And yeah, when you're home with the kids are home for the summer and you're juggling that on top of it, plus just reacclimating to life back in the US
Oh,
after
yes.
being in China. It's just that must have been a lot.
It was a lot. And like sometimes I wonder like if I had all of like, could I do it again? Like do it again? Like it was a lot of work, but it's been really rewarding in the end. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy with that. But yeah.
Okay. I love that. I mean, just it's amazing resilience that you've had to get through all that. But the story just keeps getting better. So when you got into the church and you started making some hummus, then how did you start to get some momentum going?
Yeah. So initially I was like, I'm going to run this business like I did in China. I'm going
Uh-huh.
to sell to people directly. But that is very hard in the US because I had to then drive hummus all over the city and it was a lot of
Uh-huh.
work. Then I reached out to a local retailer in Michigan that
Uh-huh.
was like a hub for where I was already distributing a lot of the hummus to. And I reached out to this retailer. I went in and I told them my story. I told them that I have already people who are buying from within the neighborhood and I promise it'll
Yeah.
sell. So they brought me in. And
Uh-huh.
from there, I went to a couple of other. Michigan is very fortunate. We have a lot of awesome independent retailers. And you can truly have a flourishing business without ever getting into the big guys just
Mm.
here in Michigan. And so from the first retailer, I went to a couple other retailers, kept getting yeses, kept growing in the church kitchen. I recruited a bunch of moms who were
Uh-huh.
looking for something to do to come and help in the kitchen. They they were paid with a lot of hummus.
Uh-huh.
So I'm very grateful to my early hummus goddesses, as we call them,
Yeah.
who really supported me, supported the brand, and helped get it to where it is today by just
Yeah.
being awesome moms. And that's the community that we've
Great.
created. From there, about 2020 happens. So COVID happens. And we're like, okay, well, this was fun because it's going to all come to an end. But it didn't because these independent retailers, they couldn't get hummus from the big guys. And we
Yeah.
were delivering hummus from the back of our cars in coolers with lots of ice to the
Yeah.
different retailers. And that's how we kept going during COVID. And there was ingredient scarcity, there was packaging scarcity, but at the time we were still pretty small. I mean, I needed a
Uh-huh.
couple of bags of chickpeas to produce
Uh-huh.
for the week. And I always found somebody who was willing to sell me a bag or to get me a bag and we
Yeah.
could keep going. And that we were really, really fortunate. I think that during COVID that we weren't too big and that we had already established a very, very local groundwork of supportive followers and supportive retailers who and shoppers who would still buy our brand even through all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, so kind of fortunate of you're kind of the right size in that moment to kind
Oh
of
yeah.
still kind of make your way through all of that without too much getting banged up along the way.
Yep. So we kept growing. And in 2020, in January of 2021, we actually left the church kitchen and we built out a facility in Southfield, Michigan. We were
Mhm.
very excited. We were going to be in this building for hopefully 5 to 10 years, making the world's best hummus, as we like to
Yeah.
say. And things were going really well for us. We moved in there in January of 2021. And in April of 2022, one of our competitors was on a product recall. or not really a competitor, another brand in the industry, was on a
Mhm.
product recall. And it opened up a door for us and an opportunity to get into Meijer Supercenters. At this time, we were working with 4 of the local format stores and doing a great job being a good partner for them. So I went to our local buyer, and I said, I'd like to help you guys maybe fill the shelf with a couple of stores.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, actually, you have been recommended for Supercenters, and you will be getting a call
Wow.
from your buyer very soon, who will talk to you about next steps. That changed everything, Leah. It was
Yeah.
um, unexpected. Like a lot of things that
Mhm.
have happened to us in this industry, it was very unexpected. We went
Mhm.
from, and we were very excited at the time because we were doing like 700 cups a week at this point, and we thought we were
Okay.
like being bustas. And then
Yeah.
Meijer, and we got into Meijer, and we were doing like the first PO came in, it was 7,500 cups, and we were like, oh my god, what are we going to do? But we did it. We made our hummus. We got it out to them in time. Leah, I sat in the car as I watched the Meijer truck pull away from our loading dock. It was like, whew, it took
Yeah.
us 12 days to do, but we did it. We did
Wow.
this. And I was so happy, and I was ready for a break. And I got in my car and I opened my phone
Huh?
before I left the parking lot, and I see purchase order from Meijer. And I was like, no, no, this has to be a mistake. PO came in that day the day the order went. It was 11,000 cups.
Wow.
Leah, I cried. And it was tears of joy. It was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make 11? I mean, we barely made 7,000 cups in time, plus the
Yeah.
700 cups we already had to do for
Yeah.
our independent retailers.
Sure.
But we did it. It wasn't like we weren't going to not deliver to Meijer.
Yeah.
And so literally we worked from 4 a.m. until 7, 8 o'clock at night every single day. We made the hummus. Then we reached out to our buyer and said, hey, we can't do that much hummus at a time. And they were like, okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Just tell us your
Yeah.
maximum order quantity and we'll just, adjust the barriers.
Yeah.
And from there, everything went very well. And I'm really glad I had that conversation with them.
Yeah. And they were receptive to it.
Oh yeah, like Meijer, I really believe in it to this day that they are there. They really want to see Hummus Goodness's success, and we're
Mhm.
always willing to work with us to set parameters that we can deliver to. I think the
Mhm.
last thing they wanted was to bring a brand into super centers that fails, and
Sure.
so they have worked with us over the course of the last 3 years. Like initially, when we went into Meijer, it was the 4 stores, and we
Uh-huh.
got into in 2022, it was 150 stores because that's all we could handle. And
Mhm.
then as we continue to grow and scale, we were able to this last year take in all 273 Meijer locations. So it's been a very cool journey.
Congratulations.
But from that big growth and scale, we learned that we could not continue to make it in house ourselves.
Uh,
There is a breaking point. I'm a mom. I have children. I have household responsibilities, as is my business partner, Laura.
Yeah.
And we found that we were constantly working in the business, that we couldn't work on the business and grow it. And so either we had to leave our families, stop growing the business, or stop making the hummus
Yeah.
ourselves. And so we made the decision to team up with an amazing manufacturing partner in 2020 who is now making our hummus for us with we have a dedicated team. We have a
Mhm.
really great director of operations who oversees all production down there for us. But it's allowed us to really grow our business. When other retailers see that you're in Meijer, they take you more seriously.
Uh-huh.
And it's allowed us to open up doors at King Supers, Natural Grocers, and just recently Giant Foods. But I don't think that there is any possibility that I could have been a good business owner, hummus maker, mom and wife and friend.
Yeah. All the things.
No, there's no way I could have juggled all of that. There's a breaking point for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. That's incredible to get that email as you see the truck driving away and you think you're take a sigh of relief,
Yes.
but a good problem because they were back for business and helped you grow. So at
Yeah.
that point, like when you got that second PO, did you go back to your team and be like, okay, we are just going to have to be here 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. guys, like we have to get this done? Or did you bring in more staff? Like how did you logistically handle it?
So we brought in more staff. It was the summertime. So we did have our kids coming in and helping us
Mhm.
put the lids on and packaging cups for us and putting them in the boxes. So we did recruit some like little child helpers. Well, they were
Yeah.
teenagers,
Yeah.
teen helpers.
Yeah.
But our team, by this point, we actually had a team of workers. They weren't just the
Hmm.
moms anymore. The moms, it was a little bit too much at that point for them to, put in those kinds of hours. So we hired a crew, an amazing group of gals, and they were all for it. They were so
Hmm.
excited to be part of our journey, one of which is still part of our journey. Her name is Brienne. Hi, Brienne. So she's still a part of our journey, and the hours increased and
Hmm.
everybody just kept working. Everybody was
Yeah.
just so motivated to get it done. I mean,
Yeah.
it
It's
was,
exciting for everybody to see success right there.
and to walk into Meijer and be like, I made this. Like, this is our team. It's awesome. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then scaling is increasing and you say, okay, we can't do this anymore. And you go out and find this great partner to produce for you. What did you decide to do with your facility at that point?
Yes. And so at this point, this is 2 years into our lease. We have a 5-year lease, and
Okay.
we found through Michigan State University's product center, again, amazing community. Somebody came to me and who knew that we were moving out of this building and said, we have a bakery. They make really, really good carrot cake, honestly.
Nice.
And they would like to rent our facility. And so we
Awesome.
made an arrangement. They took over our lease. They kept a couple of the items that we had in there.
Hmm.
And I think it was a great for them. It's
Yeah.
been great for us, and it was a win-win. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to
Fantastic. Yeah.
facility. Like, it was epoxy floor and the ceilings and refrigerators and freezers. And it was what they needed and what we no longer did. So it just
Hmm.
worked out really well.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. You love when things come together like that. You're like, great, we could pass this along to you so we can focus on our next steps for the future.
Things have just
Yeah.
fallen in place for us. Sometimes we're not sure how, but they just have. Somebody's watching
Yeah.
over, thank God.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay, so you're getting a lot of momentum in larger retailers, and you come to the point where I know there's a rebrand in your future.
Yes. So up until this point, I'd really, we look like everybody else on the shelf. We struggle to distinguish Hummus Goodness on a block at a shelf. I could stand there and try to find where we were. So in 2024, I went to a marketing event and I talked with a bunch of amazing marketing people from Kraft and Coca-Cola and all these amazing places, and told them the Hummus Goodness story. The next day, I met all these a lot of women, wonderful women
Hmm.
for lunch, sorry, at breakfast. And they said, Hannah, we have a question for you. And I was like, what's up? And they're like, why doesn't your branding match your personality? And they're like, yeah, your branding is cute. That's fine. But you talk about your story, we learn about you, and we just fall in love. And then we see your packaging and it's cute, but
Yeah,
it doesn't scream you. It doesn't scream Hannah. It doesn't scream hummus goodness, happy energy. And at first I was like, I don't understand.
like what do you mean?
And then I went to Meijer and I just stood in front of the hummus section and I saw everything they said. I saw
Hmm.
everything they said. And we decided, okay, this is it. We're going to rebrand. And
Yeah.
so we rebranded and decided that instead of looking like everybody else, we wanted to look like Hummus Goodness. So I will show you what we look like
Yes.
now. And this is,
Yes, and I have to just say, I absolutely love the branding. Super
thank you.
cute. It's still cute, but it is super well done,
Thank you.
approachable, and yes, show
Yeah.
us.
So this is the new branding. This is our garlic hummus, garlic glory. It's got really fun yellow. So the yellow represents like the Mediterranean sunshine. Our original is blue. The blue is the Mediterranean Sea. The purple is
Hmm.
for the garlic. Very well done. It talks about, who we are as a brand. It has all the attributes. If you open up inside the cup, I don't know if you saw, but we have our little mascot in there, Miss
Yeah.
Chickpea. So her name is Cece.
Mm.
So we worked with a company called Crew Marketing out of Texas, and I told them the story of Hummus Goodness. It was two wonderful gentlemen on the phone, and I said,
Mhm.
they're like, we think we can do this for you. And I was like, awesome. Let me talk to the women on your team because we're a company of moms
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we are marketing to moms. That's our demographic. We're here to make mom's life more.
Mhm,
We want her to be able to grab the yellow cup every time, being able to trust what's inside and never
mhm.
having question. So they brought their moms to the table. All the moms started talking on their team and they put
Yeah,
together I cried. I
yeah.
cried when I saw this because I was like, you got it. You
Yeah,
understood.
they
Yeah.
captured your personality in it. So this is a really interesting point, especially for, brands kind of coming up in this. Do you recommend waiting to the point that you've gotten to do this big rebrand? Because it is quite expensive to hire an agency to do all that. Or do you recommend if you had the idea or resources earlier, would you have done it?
I think, okay, so I am risk averse a lot. I am very risk averse.
Hmm.
I think that's like the mom inside of me. Like I'm never going to
Yeah.
put my kids in danger. And I don't want to put my company in danger either.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough answer just to say yes or no. I
Yeah.
think that what we had got us to where we wanted to, it got us to where it got us to, which is Meyer. It's
Hmm.
amazing, but we waited until we were ready to go bigger before we were
Hmm.
ready to really invest in that. Because when you rebrand to the degree in which we rebranded, takes a lot of like awareness, takes a lot of like energy to teach the consumer. No, no,
Yeah.
no, we're still the same hummus goodness. We just look prettier. So my recommendation to anybody who is unsure, I think that today you have to your packaging has to speak for you when you're not there doing demos, when you're not at a party, your packaging needs to speak for you. If you could do it on your own, awesome. If you could do it at a great price, awesome. But I saw firsthand the benefits of working with an agency of multiple people whose eyes are on it,
Yeah.
multiple perspectives. And it wasn't just my perspective. It wasn't just Laura's perspective. It was a
Hmm.
collaboration of minds who were all thinking the same way. I would recommend waiting until you've really proven your concept, but don't wait too long. I mean,
Hmm.
in hindsight, I think I wish I had done this 1 year earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what has been the reception now from the retailers and consumers to the packaging?
My gosh, they love it. They
Yeah.
love it. We have had on social media like influencers like, without us asking who are like, oh,
Uh-huh.
hey, we were at Mother's Market and we found this hummus. We're totally obsessed. It's the packaging. The packaging is jumping out at people. It's fun. It's happy energy. The retailers love it. They love the fact that it pops on the shelf.
Hmm.
Consumers love the fact that it's the yellow one. It's very simple. It's not hard to find it. I had one retailer and I walk into the room and I was pitching the product and she's like, I want to see the cups. And so it's like that kind of energy,
Yeah.
bringing a bit of kitchen couture into
Hmm.
a category which has had very little colorful innovation in the last 20. And
Yeah.
so I think that it was definitely a good decision. And the reception from consumers to influencers to regular mom shoppers who can just find it a lot faster than they did
Hmm.
before. So I'll tell you a funny story, Leah. When we got the new cups in, I went to Meijer and I put them on the shelf.
Hmm.
And a lady walks up to us and was like, what are you doing? Just a shopper. And I was like, oh, my name is Hannah with Hummus Goodness. We're a local brand. I own this company and just want to see what this looks like. And she's like, well, thank God you're doing this because I'll be honest with you. I come in here all the time and I have a hard time remembering which one the garlic looks like. But now it's easy. So it was
Ah,
like, oh my gosh, like all of this energy, all of this time that we spent and money
yeah.
to have this kind lady say, this looks amazing. It was just, okay, we did it.
You just justified my whole spend on doing this. Thank you. Yep. So packaging, it looks amazing. Your website is great. So you carried all that through. So I'm going to ask about marketing. So what's worked for you guys?
Yeah, marketing is huge. And the packaging is our number one marketing agent is the packaging, honestly. Demos. Leah, at this point, pretty much everybody knows what hummus is. What we're
Yeah.
teaching consumers is what is real hummus. So when we're demoing, people are always interested. The packaging is pretty. We always have our cute little swag on. We give good energy. So people come to us. Shoppers are trying it. They're buying one, they're buying three, they're buying seven. It really, really feels good. So definitely demos and then
Hmm.
social media. So
Hmm.
I think that there was a time maybe 5 or 6 years ago where it was like, is social media the way to go for brands? And it really is. Consistent messaging, knowing who our target market is, who is our target audience. We've identified that. So we speak to mom, we speak to the fitness gals and gentlemen out there who are looking for
Hmm.
better for you, healthier. So can I strictly identify one thing that's working? No. I
Hmm.
truly believe that in CPG marketing, you have to have everything spinning at the exact same time in the same direction. So in the same direction, I can't talk and move my hands.
Yeah.
But going in the same direction at the exact same time. So it all works in tandem. I know the
Yeah.
social
It's a
media,
whole ecosystem of
it is.
components that have to work together.
It is. It is all just working together. And then influencers. We do work with influencers.
Hmm.
We love micro influencers. We don't really care if you have 700 followers or 7,000 or 700,000 followers. If you understand who we are as a brand, if your audience understands who we are as a brand, we just love to work with anybody out there because there was a time where we wanted somebody to give us a chance.
Hmm.
So we want to be able to give other people a chance as well to maybe grow their platform with our
Yeah.
brand as well.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good. And you're teaching people how to use hummus in some unique and unexpected ways. You had mentioned about hummus and pasta, I think last time we spoke.
Yes. So when I was in Shanghai, I was a food blogger. And so
Okay.
I love to come up with different recipes and different ingredients. And I would find weird things like at a Chinese fruit market, like a Buddha's hand, something's called a Buddha's hand. And I would
Hmm.
buy this thing and I would figure out how to make recipes and teach other people how to make them. That is probably one of the best things that I did in China or in the Starting Hummus House that has
Uh-huh.
stuck with me because I found ways to incorporate hummus into everyday eating. And it's like really simple stuff. Like you can use hummus as like a spread on a sandwich. Like try the pickle hummus with the tacos try the pickle hummus on like a chicken sandwich. Try
Mm.
our taco hummus as the base to your 7-layer dip. Add hummus to pasta. So by no means do we say that hummus is a high protein snack because hummus in itself has a decent amount of protein. It's 2 grams.
Uh-huh.
It's fine.
Uh-huh.
But if you dump an entire container of hummus, which has 16 grams of protein, into your pasta, like you can add the garlic hummus into your pasta. Kids don't know. And you just
Yeah.
incorporated 16 grams of protein and some really healthy ingredients into their diet. And so we, on social media and even with our retail marketing and in our demos, we always have recipe cards with different ideas. We're always trying to show people like, how else can you use hummus? I think if you open anybody's refrigerator today, you're probably going to find like 7 different salad dressings. I know at my house, we have a door of salad dressings.
Yeah.
We're trying to teach consumers that and shoppers and moms that you can have more than one container of hummus at your house at one time. One can
Yeah.
be
For
for your
different
kids.
purposes.
Yeah, one's for your kids' dip. One is for, one is to make a 7-layer dip recipe out of it. One is to add to your pasta and never waste it. So instead of, if
Hmm.
you have a little bit of garlic hummus left, dump it into your pasta. Don't let anything go to waste. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
waste money today.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And yeah, that's it's always the moms know there's always the challenge. What do I cook for dinner tonight? So
Yeah. Head
that's
over to our
always something
Instagram.
that's
We always have some good recipe ideas. And on our website, there's a whole page of recipes. And if
yeah,
you have a recipe idea, submit it to us. We'd love to share it on our channel as well.
fantastic. Okay, so two more questions before we wrap up today. So, in this process of starting this business and going through such interesting evolution from international to here, has there been any moments in that where either, you got to know, maybe it was from a real retailer that you figured out how to work around, or a moment where you questioned, are we doing the right thing?
I think if any CPG, any founder told you they didn't question themselves on a daily basis, they're lying to you. No's hurt. And I don't
Yeah.
see no's as a no. I just see it as a
Hmm.
not now. And I think
Hmm.
it's really important to continue the conversation with retailers after you get the not now, but it can be discouraging, but you
Yeah.
have to keep your head up and remind yourself of like I have to remind myself of like what myself and my team has accomplished to this point and like all the
Hmm.
things that we've overcome, all the no's that we've gotten, all the yeses that we've gotten. Where we are today is huge as a brand. We are not a mega funded brand. We're just 2 moms who started a hummus company. Some days we look at each other and like, do you want to go to the mall instead? Just go shopping and just say, forget all of this. But we don't. We just keep
Yeah.
powering through and mustering through. It's like having kids. Your kids
Hmm.
could upset you and they could disappoint you on certain days, but you still love them
Yes.
and you want to see
Right.
them grow. And we
Yeah.
truly have always treated Hummus Goodness like our children and like our kids. And there are days that you're just like, I cannot with you anymore. But tomorrow's a new day. And I always tell my kids, and I'm like, we'll have a bad day or something with them and
Mhm.
it happens. And
Sure.
I always go to that, say to them, let's just start fresh tomorrow. Let's just start. And
Yeah.
that's the
Sleep
kind of,
on it. New
sleep on
day.
everything. This too shall pass. And it was
Yeah.
only a blip on our radar. And that's just the
Yeah.
philosophy that we have here. And we keep going through everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
So that leads into, I think, a good segue to our last question today, and a question that we ask all of our guests. What do you think has been your recipe to revenue?
I think our recipe to revenue is staying true to who we are and authentic.
Mm.
Again, we're just moms who are making something that we want to feed our family. And that is what I really believe it has been our recipe to success. We have not been distracted by trends and things that people are doing. And we need
Hmm.
to do this and we need to do that and start changing who we are as a brand. From day one, we have been an olive oil, lemon juice, garlic brand.
Yeah.
That's never going to change for Hummus Goodness. It's the consistent recipes. It's the philosophy that what's working is working and keep doing that. And I really think that's been our recipe for success. And again, we treat Hummus Goodness like children. And
Yeah.
it's not something that we're not going to get into a retailer and be like, okay, we got into the retailer, we're done. We understand what it takes to grow something, to grow
Hmm.
someone. We understand what that takes. And that I really, really believe is what makes Hummus Goodness special and in it for the long run.
Yeah. Thank you, Hannah, so much. I really enjoyed hearing your journey, and I love your philosophies. And it really, I think everybody can use a little bit of that positivity as they're going through this CPG journey, if they're on that side of it or in any business, really. So thank you for joining
Awesome.
us today on
Thank
Recipe
you.
to Revenue. You mentioned a couple of retailers that you guys are in. Just where else can people find you?
Yeah. So again, Meijer, Natural Grocers, Giant, Foods, King Supers, Bristol Farms, Heinen's, Woodman's, Fresh Time, Ohio, and Michigan. And if there is a retailer that I haven't mentioned that you would like Hummus Goodness to be sold at, please reach out to us. You can find a full list on our website, www.hummusgoodness.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hannah. We'll talk
Thank you.
soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Recipe to Revenue. If you're building in the food, beverage, or hospitality space, you're in the right room. Subscribe for more founder stories and real-world growth strategies. And if this episode helped, share it with a friend and leave a review. It's how this show grows. For tools, templates, and ways to work together, visit recipetorevenue.co. I'm Leah Messina. Until next time, keep cooking up the next revenue stream.